Do you play piano, Karl?
No.
Good talk.
Franz Liszt was a pianist of such prodigious skill, the mere sight of his flowing power metal mane whooshing in the breeze as his fingers danced across the ivory of his keyboard was enough to send women into a frenzy and presumably orgasm just all over. A fact that endlessly confused both the pianist and his friends. It's worth noting that around the time Liszt performed, the idea of a pianist being able to whip their crowd into a berserker-like frenzy just because they played so good was completely unheard of, and friends of Liszt would constantly express confusion at the effect his piano playing had on the crowd, and especially women.
What kind of behaviour are we talking about?
Well, Brad, we're talking about the kind of behaviour that you would probably see today at like a One Direction concert or some shit like that. Women would push each other over to get to the front of the stage when Liszt was performing, and they'd skulk around after he'd finished playing so they could pick up buttons and shit that fell off his coat and turn them into charms and brooches. Bear in mind, we're not talking about a boy band from this century, we're talking about a pianist from the 19th century.
Extreme behaviour.
It is, and people didn't actually know how to deal because it was so unheard of, and it led to the coining of the phrase Lisztomania. It's like, do you know, Beatlemania and like Elvis mania and all that stuff. Like, Lisztomania was a thing, and it's one of the first documented examples of like mass hysteria surrounding a single performing artist. I think one of the only other known ones like around this time was like Paganini, a virtuoso violinist, who was also known for being amazingly good, and people would go to his concerts and faint and fight to try and get to the front of the crowd because he was that fucking good. We'll talk about him in another video. Also, he looked like a bat. He was really tall, he had Marfan syndrome, so he had really long creepy fingers, so he could play like super awesome like violin solos. And he used to wear all black, and he wore a big long black flowing cape.
I thought we were talking about him in a different video.
He had really long black hair and a hook nose, and people thought that he got his powers from the devil. So what he did is he had to produce a letter from his mother to prove that he had a mother, and people still didn't believe him.
You done?
Yeah. I wrote an article about this once, and then the site I wrote it for went fucking bankrupt. I also wrote one about a guy called like Tartini, if you want to hear something about him. A composer called Tartini, and he was asleep once, and he had a nightmare that the devil visited him in his sleep, and the devil played like a sick awesome solo. Like,
was it on a fiddle?
It may have been. And Tartini was like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome. And he tried to transpose what he heard in his dream down onto paper. And it's called The Devil's Trill. And it's one of the most difficult pieces of music to play. And Tartini said, yeah, the devil wrote this. And I contend that's the most metal fucking piece of music ever written, because it's directly credited to Satan.
Any more?
I guess we should talk about Liszt. Sorry, I like telling stories. I thought that's what this channel was about, but I guess. How many times does that happen when we're in a pub? When I'm like telling a story and then people interrupt me and then I go quiet and then I continue telling the story. It happens so much. The one that always gets me is where our like mutual friend, who shall not be named, has said, oh Karl, I read this great thing online, and he'll go halfway through telling us the story and I say, actually I think I read it on your website. That happens every fucking time we meet. You know who you are. Stop doing that.
So let's get this back on track.
Okay.
So what reasons have people maybe suggested for why you had such an effect on women?
Well, a leading theory is, and it's quite complicated, so I'll try and distill it down to its simplest elements, is that he was really good at playing piano.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go into like the physics of like music and how it has an effect on the brain and shit like that.
Oh, you thought he had like the orgasm version of the brown note?
Yeah.
Something like, no, he was just really good at playing piano. Also, it probably helped that he was like one handsome motherfucker, as this portrait is only too happy to demonstrate.
So exactly how much better was Liszt than all of his other contemporaries?
Would you know that scene in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure where they get Mozart or Beethoven or some shit and they take him to a mall and he starts playing like two pianos at once and then one-handed, and everyone's getting mad hype and going crazy? Imagine that, but it's just a slightly younger man at a slightly larger piano, and you've got a good idea of how great he was at playing piano. Like, you probably think I'm using hyperbole there. Like, no, Liszt was kind of insane when it came to like playing the piano. He was well known for like adding flourishes to already difficult to play pieces, and playing them at double speed one-handed without losing timing, because apparently as a kid his dad made him sit down with a metronome in the background, and that is all he heard basically his entire like childhood. So as an adult he maintained perfect timing at all times, so he could play one-handed at double speed while using his other hand to play to the crowd and encourage them to like join in without missing anything, and then like swap hands and stuff like that. Imagine someone taking the piss in a film of like how good a pianist can be, and he probably did it.
So he also played to the crowd like a modern superstar.
Oh yeah, like Liszt was well known for doing that, and he'd play one-handed and whip his hair back and forth like a lion listening to Metallica. And you're probably thinking, that sounds awesome, and it was, and people loved it, and people would clamber to the front of the stage just to get a view of what the fuck he was doing on that keyboard. It's like, the idea of a pianist, you think, oh, guy sat down like an immaculate suit, gently playing concertos and like, no man, Liszt was up there fucking that piano. Like, do you know the old thing of like hair metal bands in the 80s, and they hold like the guitar on their dick and thrust towards the audience? He was doing that shit with a piano. He actually played pianos so hard that he broke them. Pianos back then weren't all that great. Like, some of the pianos he had were pretty shit, and he was known to sometimes like tune them wrong, so strings would break halfway through a performance, forcing him to improvise around like the limitations of the piano itself. And what he'd do is he'd sometimes play intentionally shitty pianos so hard and with such force and finesse, the piano would just completely shatter and break. And then he'd go, oh no! And then someone would wheel out another piano, and he'd play that piano and continue the show. So not only was he like the first musician to have like women fainting at his concerts, he was also like the first musician to intentionally break an instrument. So yeah, eat shit, every punk band from the 80s. It's like, you know what, destroying a guitar, that's pretty rock and roll. Destroying a piano, that's just impressive.
You're destroying a piano with your fingers?
Oh yeah, it's no wonder women fainted seeing him doing that. Jesus!
I have this mental image of him lining up with women naked around him and going...
Let's maybe not get that image in people's heads, shall we? We're already straddling a very fine line that my balls get hurt sat on. So maybe not. Let's not bring up imagery of just some master virtuoso pianist fingering 85 women at once, as amazing as that'd be. Oh, wait a minute though. If you did it well enough so you could get them all to make different noises... And I just thought of that, because I don't know why this popped into my head. Are you aware of the instrument that some guy made where it was just a bunch of fucking cats? The cat piano. Have you
Didn't
heard
he press
of
a
this?
button and it hit its tail? Like, yeah.
I don't know why. Because, I guess because that's also fingering a bunch of pussies. So Liszt was a pretty good pianist, we can all agree on that. But do you think if you brought him into the modern day, he could be like a super hacker man? Because can you imagine someone being able to play a piano that good and putting a keyboard in front of him and he's typing on it and just getting to periodically say, I'm in. And I'm only mentioning this because, Brad, I want you to put a clip in for the audience at home, because it just sprung into my head and I am trying my hardest not to laugh. And have you ever seen, I think it's from NCIS, I need to hack this super hard but I can't type fast enough. So two people use the same keyboard.
I'm trying, it's moving too fast.
Oh, this is not good.
I think one of the other classics is tighten up the graphics on level 3. It's like an advert for like, oh, join our game making program. And there's someone there going, yeah, tighten up the graphics on level 3. It's like, oh no.
Hey guys, finished testing that game yet? I've got another one I need designed.
We just finished level 3 and need to tighten up the graphics a little bit.
Great.
Is it NCIS is the Bing It one, isn't it?
Oh no. NCIS ain't the Bing It one. That's Hawaii 5-0. Do you know what else I love about Hawaii 5-0 though? The subway references they put in, where they have a guy and you can see the actor's face just dying. Because they have product placement for Subway. Fuck it, we're talking about this. They have product placement for Subway in Hawaii 5-0, and they walk up to this guy and they go in, oh, what are you eating? Oh, I'm eating a Subway. He's got like 6 Subways in front of him. And there's Subway livery everywhere. I'm surprised he's not wearing a Subway fucking hat in this scene.
They make it anywhere you want it. Check this one. It's sweet onion chicken teriyaki with jalapenos with banana peppers.
And he sits there going, oh man, this sandwich is so fucking good. And you can just see the pain in his eyes of like, I was hoping like this would be my big break, and I'm sat here eating a fucking like reconstituted chicken meat sandwich.
So how many of these did you order?
5.
5 footlongs.
It was a good deal. And I got breakfast for tomorrow.
And they sit there going, wow, this is so great. I love Subway. It's like, no you don't.
Turkey BLT, bam! There's some serious culinary fusion.
Oh, it's so bad, isn't it? I love when they put those into TV shows and they try and like work around it. Like in Amazing Spider-Man, where Peter Parker, computer genius, is as fucking Bing. My favourites on Netflix. So I was watching House of Cards, you know, before the dark times, and that like TV show is so cram full of Apple products, it's actually fucking hilarious. There is a scene in that where there are 2 people talking and there are 14 Apple products in front of them, including like 3 fucking iPads.
Does that mean I'm gonna have the bed to myself tonight?
Probably.
Can't Doug man the fort?
I play through Advanced Warfare, like the Call of Duty, after all the Kevin Spacey's ones. Oh, he's in that game, isn't he? They can't patch him out of this one. The classic for me is always kid in movie playing Game Boy that doesn't have a game in it. Or where they put the noises for like Tetris or some shit and they look at the camera screen and they're just playing like Def Jam or something like that. So speaking of Def Jam, well, fuck it, let's just talk about random shitty name drops in TV shows. One of my favourites, and I want you to find a clip of this because it's great, is teal-c from Stargate Atlantis. Yeah, fuck it, this video's going places again. I'm not even drunk in this one. Strap in. teal-c in Stargate SG-1, the guy who plays him, voice acts D-Mob in Def Jam Vendetta. And in the middle of Stargate Atlantis, like teal-c's supposed to be some weird alien man, and they say, oh, it's a video game. And teal-c goes, what? You mean like Def Jam Vendetta?
You played Doom.
I played Def Jam Vendetta.
Exactly, yes.
This weird alien man in his spare time just spent it playing fucking Def Jam. And I've always loved little details like that where you think, oh, you try to put this clever reference in, but it just fucks up your entire universe. Talked enough about Subway, let's talk more about Franz Liszt. Female fans ate up Liszt's antics and would swarm the stage to try and get a close look at him, eventually culminating in them throwing items of their clothing onto the stage in the hopes that perhaps maybe he'd engage in a vigorous bout of 19th century intercourse with their vaginas. Meaning yes, in addition to being one of the first musicians to intentionally destroy his instrument, he was also one of the first to have women throw their panties on stage in an attempt to sleep with him. Damn, there's no wonder they call this guy the first goddamn rock star. Throw up the fucking horns. No, I can't throw up the horns. It's like the devil horns. Gene Simmons owns them, apparently.
What?
Gene Simmons from Kiss. Did you know this? Gene Simmons from Kiss is a huge fucking asshole who tries to patent everything and uses trademark law to bully people. Apparently he said he invented the devil horns. He claims to have done that, and he tried to like fucking trademark them and sue people who use them without his permission. So I can't throw up the horns in this one, as metal as fucking Franz Liszt was. I don't want Gene Simmons suing me. He's not got enough money from selling Kiss-themed coffins. Fucking hell, what a prick.
I just realised,
Yeah.
we haven't had a story at the end of one of these videos for a while.
Yeah, I normally just go straight fucking home, don't I? Okay, I guess we can. What chapter of my life should I open today and share with the ladies and gents at home?
A job, maybe.
Oh, my old restaurant job. Oh man, have I talked? That's the thing. So the more the longer these goes on, the more I don't know if I've already talked about it before. Have I talked about how I would fuck off rich old men at my old shop?
I don't think I've heard that one.
All right, well, okay. If people don't know, if you know what it is, I used to work in a fancy ass restaurant, but we had this deal where it was like £12 for 2 courses, and I could always tell after a couple of years of working there, this guy who's coming in clearly can afford to eat other stuff on the menu, but he's just a tight arse who only wants to get 2 for 12 for him and his missus. And I go, nah, not today. you know what, I'm going to upsell this bastard because he's coming in here trying to get a good deal. Nah, you can afford more, mate. So I'd walk over. Hello there, sir. Good afternoon, madam. What can I get for you? And I'd really, really play it up. So just a 2 for $12 menu, please. And it's like, I've got him. Can I start you off with any drinks? And I go, just water. It's like, no, it's not. You're not having just water, mate. And I go, okay, so what have you said? What about you, madam? Would you like a glass of wine? And her husband had cut in, and I fucking don't like this. I hate when people like speak for their partner. And he's like, no, it's water. And I say, I'm not speaking to you, sir. And they fucking hate that. Madam, would you like a glass of wine? She's like, oh, no, we can't do that. He goes, oh, are you driving today? And he goes, well, actually, no. Like, the husband drove today and went, oh, you can have a glass of wine then, can't you? Surely you're celebrating something. Like, what is it, your 30th birthday? They fucking love that. And the husband would always, you can see him, well, I guess I can have one glass of wine. I said, oh, okay, I'll bring the wine menu over for you, madam. And you can see the husband like that, he's ticking. He's like, oh, I'm not having this. Go, since your wife's having a glass of wine, sir, how about a beer? He goes, I'm driving. How about half a beer then? You can't let your wife drink on her own, lovely woman like this. Someone might snatch her away. Like, the wife at this point is fucking loving it. And he was like, I guess I'll have a beer then. Would you like a shandy? Because then you got to pay for lemonade. I guess I do, yeah. Boom! I love upselling to people I know can afford it. Like when you get students come in, like 2 for $12 menu, that's fine, I'll do you a good deal. You come in here, you want something nice to eat with your parents or whatever. When I've got this old fucking who can clearly afford it, and his wife has very clearly got dressed up for a nice meal out, and he's like, I'm only going to spend £24 on this meal, half of which is for me, and then we're going straight home. It's like, no, your wife has come out for a nice, lovely afternoon meal. I'm going to fucking make sure she has a nice meal. After the meal, it's like, how was that? And also the food there is very nice. They can't really complain about the food. It's like, no, it was really nice. Because, would you like a coffee for afterwards? And the husband's like, no, we're going. Because, oh, I didn't realise. Where did you park? Oh, in the car park downstairs. Well, that's got 2.5 hours on it. We've only been here for an hour now. You've got time to have a coffee, haven't you, madam? I spoke to the kitchen. I can bring you. We've got some cakes in there if you'd like me to bring you one out. We're doing a deal today. Like, you get coffee and a cake for £2. We don't. I just say it because I want to spend more money. So I think I mentioned before, I used to work champagne service. I would seek out arseholes and get them to overpay on bottles of champagne. That's how I do it in the restaurant.
What's the most you've upsold?
Most I've upsold, £300 worth of champagne.
How?
Because the guy came in and he was clearly like a big dick baller. And he was buying champagne for the table. Well, I can get you 1 bottle, sir, but if you want a full glass, you should probably get 2 bottles. He goes, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And it's a good idea. And he goes, realistically, you don't want me to come back, do you? Because that's a good point. So if I brought you 3 bottles, then I can open one at the table. He goes, oh yeah, that'd be good. I say, well, actually, we have got 3 bottles left, and it's the only 3 we've got in the building. And this really expensive, £95 champagne. And I can get you that. And what I'll do is I'll do that, and then I'll throw you in a bottle of wine as well, for people who don't want to get too heady off the champagne. He's like, that sounds like a good deal. Yeah. So how much that comes? I'll call it 300. It's like, okay, that sounds fair. And I remember my manager looking at me going, how did you just sell £300 worth of champagne? I went, you just got to know who you're selling it to, mate. You just got to know who you're selling it to.
The big question there is, were they the only 3 bottles?
No. They're never the only 3 bottles. Because that's one of my favourite parts about working. Actually, it's just like learning to waffle and bullshit. Because I think I got quite good at it. And I'd do it with wine all the time. Because you get a group of 4 women in. And they'd always say, oh, wait, let's celebrate, let's get a glass of wine each. And they'd always, the question that I dreaded, they'd look at the wine selection and say, what's your sweetest wine? So I don't drink wine, I don't fucking know. So what I'd say is, I'll tell you what, ladies, put those wine lists down. You tell me what kind of wine you want, and I will bring you a wine that you'll like. And so
That's a good line.
And they'd say, well, I'd like quite a sweet wine. I'd say, sweet wine for the lady. Like, how about you let me treat you today and try something different? And they say, a dry wine, because I'll have the same as them. It's the same fucking wine. It's 4 glasses of the same wine. But I'll put it through on the till as something different and charge the same price for it, but say it's a different wine. Same fucking wine. Every single time. And they try it, because people will taste whatever you tell them to. When I say, oh, who's what, I'd even proper sell it, and I'd go, who wanted the sweet wine? You give it that whiff, the whiff to sell it. Oh, this is the sweet one. And then when obviously they think it's sweet, they taste and go, oh, that is very sweet. Try this and go, oh, that's much sweeter than mine. I might get that next. It's the same fucking wine. Oh, I love doing all that shit. So if you ever worked, if you went to a restaurant and you saw someone look like me serving you, and your meal ended up costing you twice as much, I'm very sorry. It was my job to sell you more stuff, and I was very good at it.